welcome back to another episode of Saturday Night Later, the show where sketch teachers and writers break down SNL sketches so we can learn about the structure that goes into writing sketch comedy. I'm your host, Marina Templesman, the writer of the upcoming book, Unusual Things, a guide to sketch comedy for writers, fans, and everyone else. And I'm joined by my amazing co-host and author of the Substack, My Comedy Fantasy, Madeline Baldanzi.
Hi.
Hello. And with us today, we have a very special guest. He's a UCB sketch teacher, former UCB mod writer, director, and he's working on a science fiction novel, which I would love to hear more about. Damian Chadwick.
I'd love to too.
Welcome, Damian.
Hi. Hey, everybody.
So happy you're here joining us. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
So excited to talk sketch with you. It's been a while since we've all been in the teacher's lounge discussing sketches and such. But
oh my God, yeah, I miss it.
I know, me too. But it's basically the reason we started the show is because we always tell students to go see as many sketch shows as they can, and often there's a cap on like how much how many shows in common students can have, because shows are usually small theater endeavors, but watching Saturday Night Live, it's something that people can have in common, watch and learn from the sketches. So that's basically the motive behind this show, is just to deconstruct and talk about sketches as teachers, as we would basically in a classroom, thinking about them as, both as a show that people could see, and also like if students brought in these sketches, how we would note them. So I'm very excited to have you here to talk about this episode. So before we jump into it, I'd love to get like a temperature check. This is the Jack Black, Jack White episode, which they didn't really make a thing about, and I think that they should have. But anyway, what were your like temperature checks on this episode?
I loved the energy of. I mean, I always love a Jack Black show. Like, as you know, it's always just fun because he's great. He's just really amazing. So I loved that. I thought it was a solid episode. There was a lot of stuff I really liked. There were only a couple things I didn't really love, and we'll get to those. But for the most part, like, I don't know, I made little like star when I was making my notes. I was doing little star ratings, and I was like, there's a lot of 3 and 4 star sketches out of 5 for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great, awesome. Madeline, how about you? What were your takeaways?
I strongly agree with everything Damian just said. So fun. The strength of a performer who lives to have fun cannot be undersold. And I thought that Jack Black was a terrific host to pair with James Austin Johnson, finally. And he really got to shine in this episode, which was so nice to see him excelling away from Trump. Not that we're here to really like keep tabs on the cast members or anything, but it did just warm my James Austin Johnson loving heart. So I really liked this episode.
That's a really good point. He was really like kind of stretched and put in interesting different places for this episode. It's really funny. I had sort of like slightly more mixed feelings about this episode, I think. Like I think that but I do think that like what I will say is that consistently throughout, it was also much more playful and fun. And I think that the taking swings and in a playful and fun way, I would always prefer to see from something that feels like a little lower energy. And Jack Black is just a joy to watch. I really like. I don't know. He's just a wonderful silly man, and I think I've really just always enjoyed him. And he's doing it. So let's actually just go ahead and jump into the sketches. We can talk through them. And this is an episode where I feel like I'm curious if like on a sketch by sketch basis, I'm gonna be like, oh, I did like those sketches more than I actually thought I did at the end
once
of the
you
show.
break it down.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's take a look through them. So first we had the cold open, right? This is the March Madness cold open. Yes. Okay,
not Trump.
Yes, not Trump. Exactly.
That was good that it wasn't Trump, but.
What stood out to you guys about this one? Ups, downs, things that, what stood out?
I was excited that it wasn't Trump, and there was a game, which was great. I was like, okay, there's a game. Charles Barkley is the immigrant thing played well for him, and that was a real thing that happened, topical thing. So he's going to start doing it with other things. I thought that could have been a really great, tight sketch, but they just didn't nail a single beat of it. Like, they didn't pick the right specifics. Artemis 2 is a waste of money might have been the closest one to being actually funny. And then they couldn't just resist bringing on Pam Bondi for no
Pam
reason.
Bondi.
So
Yeah.
it fell back into some of its regular cold open problems, but we were getting closer to a where we had a game, we just didn't play it well this time. So I'm going to give them points for getting
Yeah,
closer.
totally. Yeah, Damian, what about you? What were your takeaways from this one?
There was one thing that like the Charles Barkley character said that like it didn't read as a joke. It was something about the war. It was like,
Mhm.
you know, this is and it just died. Like
It
the
wasn't
audience
funny.
didn't know what to make of it. And it was like, is this a statement? And if
Mm,
so, like, great, make a statement, but like it felt like it was in the place where a joke should be. And so I don't think anyone knew how to react. Like you didn't hear the
yeah.
audience like, yeah. You heard everybody being like, wait, is this a joke I'm not understanding? Or like
Mhm.
what?
Yeah.
So that was strange.
Yeah.
I just always have so much trouble with the cold opens.
Yeah.
Almost
No,
always,
that's
it's just here's something that happened this week, or theoretically happened this week, but bigger
yeah.
characters.
Yeah. It's sort of like the least sketch of the show. So it's always funny that
Yeah,
it's like the first thing we have to talk about in this, but I totally hear you. Yeah, I think the thing for me that I was like, oh, this is a good takeaway for a student watching this was I had not heard about the Charles Barkley thing in real life. And I think
I
that
hadn't
they
either.
did a very good job of making it clear this is a real thing that happened that maybe you might not have heard about, but we're getting everybody on the same page with this, the fact that this happened. So I think that that's a great thing to look towards if you're writing topical sketches is like, what are and I think that they took a little too long to do this, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's my one note. But I think that there's a shortened version of it, but it's good to see that you can really quickly get your audience up to speed. This was not really quick,
Yeah.
but they did clarify for us that it happened.
Yeah, and if you need to spend a little bit of time up top getting everyone on the same page, that's fine. But then lose those jokey introductions. We don't need them. We know what this sports show is.
Yeah.
Get to it faster. It took way
Yes.
too long.
Yes. Once again, it was the jokes up top that we're sort of taking all the time. The other thing that I will say with this, and Madeline, you touched on this before, the mixed with the different beats. It was like for people. I think that I like the label of people love sincere Charles Barkley is like a really fun attitude about it. I think that then the subsequent beats just got lost between two kind of points of view driving his unusual behavior. It's like, is it that Charles Barkley is like kind of like high on being like, recognized as like a politically serious person? Or does he just like attention? Or is he just like, ooh, people listen to my hot takes. Like, I'm going to share some of my hotter takes now, like about the Artemis mission or whatever, right? And I think that this is an example of just needing to think a little bit more about the root of the behavior, because if it is, I think that this is supposed to be Charles Barkley realizes that he gets attention if he gives a take, but that's still not totally specific enough. I think that you can decide a little bit more about like how he's playing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I sort of sometimes struggle with like what in the cold opens, like, wait, which of these things are a thing that happened and which one is like, what's exact if I didn't see the original thing that happened in the news or whatever, because I'm not tuned into like sports so much. So
No, totally. Yeah. It is always tough when you're like, I think this must be real, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, anyway, I think, but it was really nice and refreshing. Sorry, also, if you can hear a baby crying in the background,
Yeah, it's okay.
My baby.
It's not my baby.
It's not mine,
But okay, so let's go ahead and now we've finished talking about cold open. Oh, agree. Yeah, the Pam Bondi thing. It's like, meh. It's just cold open. They're going to keep doing that. But I do think that structurally, this one was it was just a little long, but again, helpful to see you can get your audience on board with understanding this is a thing that happened.
I don't really think the cold open is really a sketch. Often it's a thing to like, if someone's managed to stay up until 11:30, it's just to like, how can we get enough cameos and enough quick jokes to like get you to stay for the opening credits and the monologue.
That's an interesting way of looking at it, right?
It's not for us. I just don't think it's for us. Like,
it's not for us. It's not for
well,
us.
Everybody should have stuck around because we were about to get some big guest star.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there was some really okay. Well, yeah. Actually, without further ado, let's go to the monologue. Anything you guys would like to discuss about this monologue?
Yeah, I mean, I just wished, I mean, God, the Tina Fey like has a line where she literally called it out, where she's like, what started off as a one-time, I wrote this down, what started off as a one-time joke in a Tom Hanks monologue has been brought back so many times it's been run into the ground. I'm like, yeah, it really, really has. And oof. And then the thing that really bugged me the most was that when Jack White came out and they did that song, that was amazing. And I was like, why didn't you just start with that? Because
Yeah.
and give that like a few more minutes because it ruled.
Yeah.
Just let Jack Black do a song.
Yes. Yes.
Jack Black, do a song with Jack
Jack
White.
White.
Jack Black, Jack White. That's all it
Yeah.
has to be. I had the same thing where like I was sort of watching the Five Timers Club thing. I was like, oh, like it's fun to see these familiar faces, but like it feels like they're just like they're literally talking about how it's dead. So it's more fun to go to this like dynamic song that's happening. So that was delightful once we got to the actual like goofy song. I was just like, oh, I love to look at Jack Black just doing his silly thing. That was fun. That was fun. I think
choir of marching wizards. More of that.
Yeah, more of that.
Totally.
More of that. Yeah. I think that it's a great reminder. I think that obviously there's some very specific to SNL things from that. I think that I will say is that thinking about the energy of your sketches is probably a useful thing to think about here. So in the context of a show, that's like maybe a takeaway is like to be very deliberate and intentional in how you're deploying your lower energy sketches, which are really fun sometimes, but like a sketch about how low energy it is can get very tiresome. Yeah. All right. Should we move on to the first like actual sketch? Okay. So the first sketch of the night is
teachable moments.
Oh, so this is chock full of teachable moments. Okay. This is Kathy in the
lunch break,
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Damian, what were you thinking? And then I want to hear what Adeline's thinking or too.
I started off like, oh, I feel like this is going to get tedious, but then I kind of loved it. I really loved the game of like, try not to engage with her and how and I don't know if anyone else on the cast could have pulled this off. The way I just love her so much right now. Like Ashley Padilla, anytime she's on stage, I'm like, okay, great. I'm very excited to watch her. And I mean, it would have been a Kate McKinnon role, I feel like at one time or something like that. Some of the specifics felt like they would have been in one of those like Barfly sketches or something, just a succession of like weird things about her. But I loved the specifics. I loved them struggling. I loved the dynamic of them struggling. Just take just take my hand, stay strong. That was such a cool like way to heighten it.
Yes. Madeline, was it sort of tracking with your experience too?
I had a different experience.
Oh,
this sketch
okay.
is fascinating. Just as a sketch teacher, I'm like, what a fascinating sketch. Okay, so I don't think that Ashley Padilla's character is the unusual thing. I think this is like a self-referential sketch because the game is not her being weird. The game, Jack Black is actually the unusual character to me because the game is don't react to Kathy. Kathy is just like a stand-in for any wacky sketch character, and she didn't really have a specific game other than like butting in, I guess, although you could make butting in a game. And I thought the first few beats were like a little strange because I was like, wait, what's her game? She's not specific enough because the first one is homemade nachos and then the second one is numbers, and I was like, these two things are not like a specific enough character.
Crushing up her birth control into her nachos.
Yeah, like she's wacky, but she's not the game. The game is Jack Black asking everyone not to respond, and then putting Keenan with his face next to him was a great decision. But I don't think it was. I was confused for the beginning bit of it. I was like, this is interesting. I'm not sure what we're supposed to be laughing at here. Jack Black seems like the voice of reason character, but he's the weird one. But then for that last beat, oh man, so funny, worth it. Like kind of worth the confusion actually to get to that last beat. And you could tell the whole time, even though I was confused, that I was sort of in the hands of a good writer or a well-written sketch, and they were confident about it. And that last beat just crushed. So funny.
Last beat was so great. Yeah, Damian, I had a kind of similar experience to you, I think, where at the beginning I was sort of like, yeah, this feels like it's not going to heighten. And then Madeline, I also was like, yeah, it's like not really. This is a good lesson about like needing to make a more specific character. But then by the time, like, I actually think that by the end, yeah, like I talk a lot, and I've been writing a lot in the book about how sketches are dials, right? Like they're filled with dials. There's like a voice of reason dial, an unusual character dial, and like not every sketch uses every dial, but there's kind of some sweet spot balance, equilibrium. And I do feel like there's something a little funky in the beginning of the sketch that could have been ironed out. But by the time we got to that end, where it's like, we talking TV, I was like, this is so delightful, and like the fun of this is watching them have to brace themselves in this moment. And I think that all of the stuff that was a little funky to me earlier on, I think really kind of paid off here. I still can't quite tell if it paid off or just they got away with it. I think they got away with it.
I think there's an easy fix for the beginning. Keenan just says Jack Black just says, guys, she butts in every day. Yeah. It's horrible. We can't have a conversation. We're just going to ignore her today. Yeah. It's like, I honestly think that's her. No.
Yeah.
We're going to ignore this coworker.
Yeah.
I think the sketch could have been much shorter. Like if this was on Mon Night and we were doing the table read, I'd be like, well, the last beat is the funny thing, so let's just do that and then black out.
Yeah.
Completely. I think that would have been fine.
Yeah, completely. I was impressed that they had such a long beat on an SNL sketch. Like I think that was very cool to me that they did this, because it did feel very live.
The We Talkin' TV beat, you mean? The final one? Yeah. Yeah, that was good. One where the timing was so crucial, and I think her just ability to kind of, the cast really felt like they were just really gelling and doing it in those moments.
Yes.
This was an exciting sketch. Like, I was just like, yes, they're taking a risk in a way that's comedically smart. Yes. I loved it.
I think, and this is really interesting. So somebody asked a really great question on Instagram. They said, what makes or breaks a repetition-heavy sketch like Kathy beyond just the performance? And I think this is a great question to ask, because to me, this sketch, in a way, that last beat almost turns kind of meta in a way, where it's like, the fun is, I can't believe that we're just trapped in this moment where we're just seeing it over and over and over and over and over again, which is not the same thing that a lot of repetition-heavy sketches depend on. But in this case, I think it was it reminds me, do you guys remember the Kristen Shaw's horse thing? It was like a while ago, where it's just like, it was like this funny thing that they would do where like Kristen Shaw's horse, it was just like the song that they would sing over and over, and it would start as like kind of bland and then get like, why are they doing this? And then eventually over time, you're like, this is crazy. This is kind of fun. Or that was like, I think the intended goal for it.
Like the fact that it's going on that long?
Yes, exactly. The fact of it going on so long is part of what's fun. I think in this case, that was a piece of what was fun here. The meta dial of the sketch was, I think, on a little too at the end.
I think it's just about surprise too, right? Like if you have to think about how long you can keep it surprising and know when the limit is. And you're not going to know that until you've performed and written a decent amount of sketch. Like you aren't going to know that right away. And I bet you that wasn't perfectly written. Like I think that they might have felt that out a little bit.
Yeah.
And also Keenan's expression and Jack Black's expression, like how long can they keep the audience going? You have to feel that in the moment. So there's not necessarily like a writing answer all the time.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
And all the interjections too. They're like, oh, just do what we promised. Just take my hand. Like holding hands.
Yeah.
I feel like this is worse than just talking to her.
Yeah.
Yes. I loved that line.
That was really delightful. I thought this was a really interesting, I agree, exciting sketch in terms of it being like a kind of a big swing, feeling fun and silly and so live. Like it felt very live to me in a way that I really, really enjoyed. In terms of like other sketches that like have repetition, what are the things that you guys, I mean, this is obviously, again, it's a very specific sketch, but like what else do you look for in sketches that like do have a repetitive element to them, like to keeping them interesting beyond performance? Because there's so many different ways of I think the most I guess keeping it interesting is sort of the name of the game. Like if you are being repetitive, there's still something that has to be keeping it interesting, right? Whether it's like heightening of some sort. The often in this case, the heightening that's happening is the emotional precarity of the other characters in the face of the repetition. So even though there is an element of repetition, there is something that's heightening around that repetitive piece. So I think there's something a little different than just the repetition happening, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's tricky. Those ones are really hard on paper to figure out. Like I think in rehearsal, it's so much like I don't know. I've been kind of trying out a sort of an I don't know, a label or something with students lately, which is like, I think this is rehearsal ready. Like, I think we're
Mm,
trying to get sketches on paper in table reads to a point where they're rehearsal ready, to where, like, okay, any remaining work we're going to have to do with the actors, and they're going
yeah,
to be rewrites that happen between rehearsals
I like
versus,
that.
like, because you can only get so far in a room with non-actors just,
Yeah,
doing their best to table read it.
Yeah, because I'm like, I don't know how to answer that question just on the page. I'm like, it is kind of performer dependent, actually. I
yeah.
don't have a good writing answer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting. I think a fun thing behind this question though is the fact that it is kind of impossible to know for sure, and that's why a sketch like this is exciting because it's a big swing. And I think if you've ever written a sketch show that has had a sketch like this in some way, it's part of what's exciting. It's like big risk, big reward, right? Because
Yeah.
if it doesn't work out, then it's like, all right, well, they're going to hate the next 3.5 minutes. And if it does
Yeah.
work out, it's like, ooh, we're surfing. This is great.
Well,
This is awesome.
and you got to trust the actors to like be reacting in real time to like, are people kind of like, what's the vibe in the room? Are people
Yeah.
like kind of like on the edge of their seat waiting for when it happens again? Is everybody kind of like starting to lean back and be like waiting for the sketch to be over? Like modulating like how fast they go or how slow. I feel like on Mod Night, there's tons of that stuff. And I'm sure, I mean, it's kind of why they have a live audience there,
Yeah, no,
is they can
exactly.
gauge
Yeah.
it.
I think the biggest takeaway for me is like thinking about the height, what, like who your heightening dial is targeting. Like, is something heightening in the scene? And if not, like, or if the repetitive behavior is not heightening, then like, is something heightening in the characters or environment of your scene? Or is there something heightening in the audience, right? Like that you are doing? There's something probably ideally that's happening. But yeah, anyway, it was a really fun sketch. I really enjoyed that. And I just loved that last beat. I thought that was so great. So but Madeline, I think you're right that little tweak earlier on would have like really,
Just to
really
put a pin
cleaned
in
it
it.
up. Yeah, totally. All
Yeah.
right, awesome. Should we move on to the second sketch? Oh, the second sketch was a musical sketch. All right. The can't remember what he said. Yeah, what were
Yeah.
your guys'
Words
thoughts
to
about
live
this?
by.
Yeah,
The
words to live
words to live
by.
by.
There
Yeah.
it is. Yeah, Damien, what did you think about this one?
Oh, I really loved it. I was afraid for a second that going into the second beat, and this would be a classic SNL thing to do, is to kind of just do the first beat again.
Yeah.
And they didn't, because him getting interrupted by the text and that kind of like prompting him to forget it was super fun.
Yeah.
I loved that. It changed it. And I loved in the heightening of the third beat, just like, just kind of crapping all over his kid.
That was-
Just like, whoa, very intense. Like, but definitely a big, like a cool, if this is true, what else is true? Kind of like a little bit of an A to C kind of heightening of that. And the button was awesome. Jack White has also got
oh,
great stage presence, like in comedy
yeah.
too, I'm realizing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
That beat was terrific. The
yeah.
Jack
yeah.
White beat.
Oh,
Yeah.
so fun.
That was really delightful. Great surprise. Madeline, what about you? How did you feel about this sketch?
I mean, anything is worth it for Google Calendar.
Yeah.
I was disappointed when the game dropped because I wanted it to be something specific, and instead it was just I don't remember. So I had like an initial like I don't like this reaction, but if I take my emotions out of it, I do think this was just a really solid song sketch. And again, they were having so much fun clearly
Yeah.
making this.
Mhm.
And by the time it all came together in the third beat, I was like, this song is good. These men are silly. These specifics were funny. I enjoyed this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Marina, we got a question about the
yes,
third
yes, we
beat.
did. We did. Somebody said the third beat of that Forget song didn't make any sense. So
Yeah, that's interesting to me because I did think it was a nice way to keep it surprising of
Yeah.
like not only have I forgotten what your family words of wisdom, like a sweet kid saying something fun, it's that I don't even care. So
Yeah.
to me it was a heighten. 30 weird Pokemon guys like really got me.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe also just like having a kid that you're furious at sometimes make that really relatable. It's like, shut up.
Right. I think that the only thing that could I think that maybe a tweak that could have been made was like going back to the like maybe it's like maybe the reason the person being mad at the kid is because they can't remember what the father said or something like that.
Fun.
Like that would have been a nice way to plug it in. But I did think it actually folded in a little more nicely to me than I would have expected, just because I do think that like cutting off wisdom that you might be receiving is like a piece of it. I will say, okay, so my thought on this one, the first beat, I was like, ooh, we're getting so far ahead of this sketch. Like this is going to be a little bit of a drag. To me, the specifics in the second beat of Jack Black Woman Mountain were so wonderful.
Sisters
that like
thing.
It was life is like a da 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 da, and then the signaling like write it down. He's like, no, I'm gonna remember it. Like it was wonderful. And so I think that I was like, oh, is there like that to me was the most fun part of the song. I was like, do we need that first beat setup for this? And then I was like, I think we do if it's a country song, because I think we sort of need something to ground it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I felt like the second beat to me was where the fun really lived. And so I guess what I'm saying is I was worried that it would get old, but they did surprise me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it ultimately, I guess what I'm saying is good job. Good job with this sketch. And the going off on the little kid, honestly, I thought that was a really fun, surprising move.
Because you could imagine a version of this sketch where it's just like they keep forgetting what the dad says in the hospital. Like SNL's done that kind of non-heightening before, and it's okay to get a little bit further away from your original idea, like in that third beat, to keep a kind of simple idea surprising, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I think
especially if you've earned it in the first two beats.
Yeah. And I think that this is a good, in a way, a kind of counterexample to the like what makes or breaks is repetition in a sketch. I think that repetition in this one would have felt really old, in part because it takes so long for a musical sketch to play out, right? Just because music moves, and this particular song moved slower, right? So I think that getting ahead of it is more costly because your audience knows what's going on. It's like ready to move along. Yeah. Any other thoughts for this one before we move along?
This is like a little bit of like trivia or something, but have they used the word "God damn it" before? I feel like I don't know if I'm like making this up or it's something I like absorbed somewhere, but that they don't do that. I don't know that was a swear that they didn't do, but maybe I'm just wrong about that.
No, it's totally possible.
I did think that part of the song like kind of saved the first beat for me. Like him saying that was fun, super funny.
Oh, I loved it. I just was like, oh,
so it's
okay,
interesting.
so they're pushing the limits, or I guess.
Which part was it? The
goddamn.
Yeah, he just says goddamn.
Like 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
Which wasn't really a joke, but it played like a joke. It was memorable, I think. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, unfortunately, I guess I didn't remember it.
It was
but
memorable
maybe
to me.
I think that the Keenan beat just blasted everything out of my head because I loved it so much. I was just so delighted by that piece of the song. Awesome. All right, great. Should we move on to the next sketch? This is the self-defense class. Okay, great. Yeah. What are we thinking about the self-defense class, David? Let's hear it. I feel like
I just couldn't. It was just one of those like it felt like it was kind of leaning on energy and underwritten a lot, and I just didn't really love it. It didn't feel like it really heightened. It was just a lot of like sort of physical, like stop it, like the golfing thing and the Titanic thing felt like the same. It was like this literally the same physical, like almost the same physical setup. There was a joke left right on the table that just pissed me off so much. Somebody said I did MMA in the UFC. And I was like, yeah, so what does MMA stand for and what does UFC stand for? Because that's exactly where there could be like a really fun joke there. And it was like, no, why did you just leave that?
Yeah. No, totally.
I think this sketch is a great example of when you have someone giving you notes and they're like, there's too many side jokes. You can't tell what the game is. we're saying that
Yeah.
because we don't want it to come out like this, which is there were a lot of actors doing funny things, but it was incoherent. There was kind of a stop it game that they were sort of trying to thread through, but it wasn't clear enough. The instructor's point of view was never explained. There was no justification for why they were doing something wacky, and because of that they couldn't carry the joke. So you could tell the writers started having other characters make more and more jokes throughout, and it just fell apart, even though everyone was having fun.
Yeah, I agreed on all counts. I think that it actually reminded me a little bit of the Ariana Grande dance class sketch, right? Where it's like, it was, I think it's like a less, this was a much less polished version of that, and that was also not the most polished sketch. But I think that I really liked the like go to your house as like their thing, but I agree about them. There was no kind of unifying point of view behind it. So when we talk about unusual characters, often it's not just the behavior, it's like thinking about, again, the point of view that drives that behavior. I think that if you had like a more specific like point, just like stop it, leave me alone, like maybe you haven't communicated that you don't want them to bother you. It's like whether maybe there's something driving that, then you could have more fun with it. But I just think that it, as exactly as you guys were saying, there was just sort of there was no driving point of view behind the characters and behind the unusual characters, and so there was just, it was all just a little mushy. The whole scene was a little mushy, so there was, I need like a little bit more of something solid in a sketch like this for there to be a reaction against. And
when you don't have that, the perspective, the point of view, the why, you get bad self-defense instructor, bad self-defense class, and like that's just like textbook, like it's written in our like sketch notes in 101. It's like, if your game is just bad blank, that's just too broad. Like we just need to dig into it a little bit more.
I think sometimes thinking about pitches as like what you are thinking about them more specifically. So it's like, if you were to be describing, like when you pitch to a room, you're not just trying to get people to like come up to like give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to your idea. Ideally, you're setting yourself up to be able to get the feedback on the kind of sketch you would like to write, right? So that's where like bad self-defense class isn't specific enough, because somebody might be like, okay, like the floor is slippery, and like the instructors are too angry, or the instructors are too nice, or the blah blah blah. Like you'll get ideas that will describe like a billion different sketches, and sometimes you want that. If you're like, I have a half-baked idea, I want it to be set at a self-defense class, but I don't know what the idea is yet. Ideally, you're polishing your ideas a teeny bit more before you bring them in. But if you're like, okay, like a self-defense class where that's just where the instructors try to trick you into going back home, you know, like that, like then you can start getting pitches around your idea. Again, that's not what this sketch was. I don't think the sketch was specific enough. But if you get a little bit more specific, or like self-defense class where they try to segue people into like doing a different activity, you know, or something like that, that's also more specific, right? But I think in this case, it was just, like I can't imagine the pitch that would have received this collection of beats, and that's why I think we saw so many side characters and kind of sidebars going on. But it kind of, again, interesting if you've ever heard from a teacher to like, as Madeline said, like to dial down side jokes and stuff like that, or you've been told like there's sort of not a specific enough game. Watch the sketch and think about that in terms of your own writing and how you might be able to use this as a template for learning. Okay, shall we? Oh, anything else? Sorry, Damian, were you about to say something?
Yeah, I mean, the side jokes I think are sometimes a symptom of you don't have a clear game, and you're just like just firing stuff off left and right, which may be fine jokes, but it's just like a shotgun approach. It's not like, you know, leading towards a single thing.
Sometimes even just thinking about what do you expect people to laugh at, and if you're expecting people to laugh more often at things that aren't the way you describe the sketch in a room, like you might not have figured out how to play your game quite enough. And I think that definitely is what happened here. All right. Oh, okay. Sketch number 4, the husband's singing in the den. All right. The husband's hanging out and singing the song together. Okay. What do we think about this one? This is a fascinating specimen.
I loved it. And I was afraid. I think I start off every sketch afraid of how it might get messed up. This one I was like, oh God, and I wrote down in my notes, I was like, oh, how do you heighten awkward? Because as soon as they cut to the men not being able to start a conversation, I was like, oh God, is it just going to be them? Because heightening awkward is insane. Like I've seen people try to do it. I've tried to do it. It's really, really hard. And thank God they didn't. They found the song. And then I loved the device of cutting back to the kitchen, because then you can cut back and they've moved ahead in the song. Now they've taken their shirt, now they're starting to take off their shirts. It just gives you this nice kind of ability to heighten that I think would be harder to do if you were just watching the whole thing in one take, so to speak. Um, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, Madeline, how about you?
I really loved this one. Also, I think thinking about this sketch in terms of a whole show is helpful. This is never going to be the first sketch of the night, right? Like this isn't like super clear. It's not even necessarily a very surprising game once it gets going. But it's a little weird, right? It's like a little unusual to have a sketch where it's all just like men singing together. It's almost more like beautiful than it maybe is funny, but this is a great, it's simple and it's clear and they nailed it. And this is a beautiful sketch to have in a show. It's like a lovely like palate cleanser. It gives you a different angle. And yeah, I do think it was easy to get ahead of the beats here, like them taking off their pants and being in like rock and roll outfits by the end. I didn't find like that surprising, but the whole thing is so delightful and it felt fresh for SNL. Like you get points for freshness, I think, and you don't maybe have to be as surprising. So this felt like a nice original idea that was again a little comedically risky, and I think it really paid off. Okay. Also, Jane Wickline is so tall.
She is huge.
Sorry,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Every time she's on stage in a full shot, I'm like, whoa.
What kind of a comedic gift for her? Anyways, but I really, I kind of like adored this one, I think.
Okay, this is interesting. I was much more sour on this one. I actually, I think to me, it just felt like it did not, I think that there, to me, like the awkwardness of the men sitting in a room not knowing what to say kind of bled with an awkwardness of like the staging or something, or like the rhythm of the sketch playing out. So to me, I feel like it took a while to like find its rhythm. And my main note for this was like, I feel like this one needed a bigger production element or a cleaner production element. Like I would have been more curious to see this one almost as a music video sketch, even though that would have sort of sold out. The whole fun of it is the idea that they're kind of conjuring this and we're sort of existing in this metaphorical space of like, it's not actually a metaphorical space, but like that we're sort of like, they're having this sort of like bonding moment. I kind of wanted more of a fuss to be made about them all knowing and loving the song or something. I don't know. I feel like this one I just felt like a little clunky on or something.
I did write up top, I feel like none of these writers or actors have suburban husbands. And I wonder if there's like maybe something a little unspecific about the idea of like the men are awkward and the moms are trying to whine. Like, I think that setup is like a little kind of offensively broad.
Yes.
But James Austin Johnson, Andrew Dismuke, and Jack Black like harmonizing in that first beat was so like organic and lovely and surprising that once that happened, I was like, okay, they had to do that setup to get to like this fun thing. So I'll forgive them that. But I do think the setup maybe is just like had whiffs of sketches that I don't normally like. I think that
I think you've successfully diagnosed my my response to this, because I do think because I do think I was just like, okay, at the top of it. I was like, all right, I've seen this before. But I had forgotten that when they harmonized, that was like, oh shit, they're all really singing. This is great. There was that really fun element of it. But
like masculinity didn't really have anything to do with the idea in a way that I don't think, but maybe
well, there was There was the thing of like them coming in and expecting them to be up to no good, and then I forget what one of them was like holding up a Playboy and then throwing it aside, and
That's
then
Yeah.
there
true.
was like
That
a
was funny.
Respecting Women magazine.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like the contrast between like, oh, they're in there, they're up to no good, they're doing something stupid, and then it's like, oh no, we're respecting,
Yeah,
we're
we're
reading
busy.
this,
We're saying
and I
I
something
forget
think
what the
funny.
other one was.
I
What was the
I
other
like
one? I don't
those beats
remember.
less though than them just being like, I've just been waiting for
Oh, for
for
sure.
another dad to also
Yeah,
love this song as much as I do. Maybe they just
yeah.
need to like play that
Yeah.
aspect of it
I
harder.
think this is where it just like could have used a few more tightening of the screws to me, because I think that I think that what you're describing, that they just like this, like they're like coming together on this specific song feels really fun as we're talking about it. But I think in the moment I felt like it was a little loosier goosier. I think in part because of how long the setup was. Though I do think that you're making a very good point that like they might have kind of needed that in order to like pay off that moment. Yeah, I don't know. I think that this one, I think I would rewatch this one and see, but I do think I still feel like a little bit more tightening up top would probably have made it sing a little more for me. No pun intended. All right, should we talk about Weekend Update? We had two characters in
Yes.
Weekend Update. Okay, so first, Christy Nolan's husband.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was just entirely sold on Sarah Sherman's like energy. I think because it was just like got it, just an excuse for her to kind of like do that got anything to say thing. Like it didn't feel like there was a lot to it. It was fun to watch.
This one I thought was interesting because I was like, I think like as we were, so I feel like there's something like maybe at first I was like, oh, I don't like this. And I was like, there's something kind of sophisticated about this too, though, where it's like, there's a part of me that still feels like it's sort of mean to like there's something that feels like icky or mean to like laugh about this, but then labeling it as being like, I dare you to find something that's silly about this situation is like kind of acknowledging that feeling in a way. So but I still ultimately land on the side of like this, it feels like a little icky to me or something. Like, I don't know. But I do think there's something funny about like just the I dare you to find something funny about this. I do think actually this taps back into the question about repetition, like heavy repetition in a sketch. Like, I do feel like this one got a little tiresome because it was just like, I dare you to find something funny. I dare you to say something. I dare you to blah, blah, blah. And this was also going for the like, it gets sillier over time thing, but I don't think it did it as successfully. That's my take. Madeline, what did you think? What was your take?
I feel like a little confused about what the current event was. Oops. I don't know. I have like two kids. I don't know. And I didn't. So like they're saying, I don't need to figure it out on the podcast while everyone listens, but like they are just saying like if somebody's you don't like's husband got in trouble for having a weird kink, there's like nothing to say where you don't get in trouble. Well, basically.
So Christy,
like
yeah.
And I guess this is all to say like it was like a little too unclear for me what was actually heightening. Like there was nothing in the little heightens that they did of this despot that nothing changed. Like the cameraman being like no, and Lauren's chair spinning because they're trying to get out of there. Like it doesn't seem like something that would be that impossible to have an opinion on to me. So like that didn't quite even play. It was just Sarah's energy is funny, but I don't know. I didn't like, and I also was confused. I had never heard this man speak before, so seeing her impression was like uninteresting to me. I just it was fine, but I was like, I don't think this is for me. Is how I felt.
Yeah.
That's not very helpful. But.
No, but I think that's totally fair. Yeah, Damian, what were you thinking? You were about to.
I think the more Marina after what you said, I do I do agree. There is like a tension between like we all hate her, but the husband is like presumably trapped in some kind of like it feels like punching down a little bit to make fun of this guy for cross-dressing, I guess. And for having a kink or whatever. And so I think the choice of being like, I dare you to find something funny about this, got anything to say, does kind of play it both ways a little bit. Like,
I'm just like, can't you just be gleeful that Christy Nome probably had a bad day without making fun of him? Like,
Right. It's like,
Why do that? I don't know. It just
it,
like wasn't for me.
yeah, it just feels a little bit like working backwards from something. I feel like they didn't even quite figure out what they wanted to do with
Yeah.
it. So it was a, I kind of see why they had to, why not why they had to, but like why they did it. But I also feel like I don't know. I feel like there was not really a specific take.
But don't you think Sarah was like, I want to go out there with balloons?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
I
probably,
think that's
totally.
probably where it started from. And it's just like, this wasn't clear enough.
yeah, I think that feels
Yeah.
right to me. Um, then the second, there was a Black Professor Snape saying Harry Potter is racist.
Black Snape?
Black Snape, yeah, it's a pretty clean, straightforward game.
Black Snape, yeah.
I thought that I thought that this one like maybe could have used some sharper specifics, but was like a fine and clear. Like it didn't make me like haha laugh just because I didn't find the specifics like super strong. But it was yeah, but it was kind of like it was fine and passable. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it was. I liked the game of calling out all the racist things in Harry Potter. The Kingsley Shacklebot character I actually didn't know about, and then I was like, "Whoa, okay, yeah, that is kind of nuts." House elves and field elves killed me. Like it was just so funny. Um, yeah, I mean, Kempa. I mean, I like his
Yeah.
desk bits.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't. I'm trying to remember a sketch that he's been in where I was like, where it felt like it was really he was driving it.
I feel like they've underused him. I don't think he's gotten to
Yeah,
really drive much yet.
I mean, he's going to get fired, I think, but because he keeps doing stand up about how much he hates working there.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
interesting. Okay. Okay.
Oh,
I
snap.
feel like
Okay,
every
that's
time
not
I see
good.
him do something, that plays in the back of my mind of like, oh no, Cam, but you're like funny. Like, you can do it. Try.
Yeah.
Like, but if you don't
Yeah,
want
yeah,
to,
yeah.
don't. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, but you're right. He really hasn't led a sketch yet, and I think he could carry it. He's very charismatic and like
I
very
really
funny.
liked Black Snape. Like,
Yeah,
I felt like he could have committed a little more.
yeah,
And yeah, there maybe could have been some like faster specifics or like
yeah,
more. It just feels like I'm almost surprised that Black Snape has never been done, but of course it hasn't because there hasn't been a Black Snape until now. So now it makes sense.
yeah,
It's a great idea. I liked it. I like it.
yeah,
This was solid. Good specifics could have been more, I think.
yeah. I think
I
the pacing of it is an interesting observation too.
I
Yeah,
think it's like kind of a stand-up like approach to the less like doing a character and more kind of like, doing a stand-up bit, honestly.
I wish he hadn't come out doing a voice at all.
yeah,
I wish he just come out kind of more as himself. He's like, I'm Black Snape, take me or leave me.
Hmm.
I think that might have even been clearer and more him. Maybe he just needs to like find himself on the show too and make
yeah,
the show work for him rather than the other way around.
yeah. I wonder who he's writing with. Or who's writing with him. Like I don't know. I feel like we'll see. I hope he takes off.
Yeah, he's funny.
I really think he's
definitely funny.
Yeah.
This did remind me, if we can just to jump back to the monologue, the five timers thing for 1 second. There was a line I wrote down because it like got no reaction. They said that Jack Black was Tina Fey, I think, said this, the first Black in the Five Timers Club, and it just landed with a thud and didn't get addressed. And I was like, what the fuck was that? Like, what?
Mm,
That was just, it felt like such a strange, like, thing to say inadvertently or on purpose. Either way, it was like, whoa, what was that?
yeah. I think it was a joke that the audience wasn't like comfortable laughing at.
It's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's bad, actually, guys.
Yeah, that is
Yeah,
bad.
I
Yeah.
felt weird.
Maybe
Yeah.
work on that harder.
Yeah.
I mean, SNL's politics are terrible.
Terrible, but yeah. No, totally. All right, two more sketches to go. We have the next one was the 300 Spartans or the 301 Spartans. One guy has to stay out. Yeah. What, Madeline? What are you thinking? I see a little eye twitch.
I loved the reveal of Jack Black. I thought that was super funny and a fun idea of just like, we're gonna pick 300 people, but not you. But then I think that then there was like a beat and a half there where they just kind of stopped playing the game for a minute. Like I forget exactly what happened, but Dismukes like started making maybe like 3 or 4 other jokes that weren't about narrowing it down, and there was clearly one person who wasn't going to make it. And then by the time they went back to that, it felt like it had lost a little bit of the momentum because we'd already seen the costume. And then Jack Black's personality and like maybe the other reasons other than just the fact that maybe he like wasn't a fit looking soldier, was the reason he wasn't getting picked. In addition, it got too unspecific. Like, it didn't heighten in a specific enough way. His character point of view wasn't clear enough. And it just got too messy. And then there were 2 time cuts, right? Which was just like, I don't think you needed to
The
do
sundial.
It started promising, but then got sloppy.
Yeah. Damian, what do you think? Was that
I mean, I would agree. It just felt kind like I was never surprised by anything, not once. Like, it just felt like it just felt like exactly what you would expect. Like, technically fine, but not super interesting to watch.
Yeah. I think the one thing that I really noticed in this one was they really had Jack Black having to set up all of his own beats, basically, where it was like when he was like, wow, that thing that guy said was great, give me one, And I feel like there's a way to like, when we talk about like using your setting, I have a whole chapter that's like about setting, which is different from base reality, but like using the scene that you've created to generate the things, like the footholds for your unusual moves. That's something that you can do, right? So instead of having Jack Black say that, just have the guy continue to give the speech and then he jumps in with his own version of it, right? Like you can let that happen in ways that feel more organic versus having to draw attention back to the unusual character every time, because then you're just taking so much more time to start your beat. Yeah. So anyway, this one I thought felt a little stilted to me, which is surprising because it's such a kind of straightforward setup. There's no reason that this should be stilted, really. Yeah.
I wonder if it's something that Jack Black pitched for himself, because pitching this for him feels rude. And then like the writers were just like a little nervous about it or something.
Maybe. I don't know.
There's something weird happening here for sure.
Yeah, it just didn't quite. Yeah, it's funny. It's like I feel like there's so much more that could happen with this one.
Yeah, there was also ways to heighten beyond his physicality so easily too, and they didn't go that route. So
yeah. So this one again, I feel like it could have been stronger. Basically, yeah, just needs a bit more passes and a little bit more brainstorming around it. And then the last sketch of the night was spring break. Bob wants to hang out in the closet. Oh, okay. Tell me what you're thinking.
This is not on topic, really, but can you imagine being Jeremy Colhane and having Melissa McCarthy and Jack Black rubbing lotion all over you in a sketch that is not working? Like, can you imagine being like, this is my life tonight? That is wild. This was a banana sketch.
Yeah.
It felt like a false start. The closet thing was like, what? I mean, it started off as one sketch and then it completely pivoted. Like, just have Melissa McCarthy in there from the get-go. Have them come in and have some kind of a deal, as and I think they could have gone at least kept it consistent.
There's a great game, right? Which is, I'm an older Airbnb owner who wants to see what it's like for see how young people are having fun, right? Like, I'm so curious about that. Like, that's, I think, a really funny point of view and behavior. But it was a little bit of a mistake to me. Like, anytime you have a character in a sketch, like, clearly lying, you probably need to make an adjustment. Like, why didn't he just be like, okay, I am just going to be in the closet to watch you guys. It's just part of the Airbnb. It was in your agreement. You have to do it.
Right. I think you could even have scrapped the closet altogether. And because
totally.
He said, like, I remodeled in 2002, definitely not trying to live it up with cool young folks or something like that. Instead, just be like, all right, anyway, I'm just going to nibble a little croissant too while you guys are getting settled, and like just have him hang out there. But I think that the lying of it really, really, really took some time away from playing anything more fun, for sure. Yeah. It was like, I will say though, it was because I think that the clear point of view, at least, that's something that's nice in this, is like, labeling it like that. I want to spend time with cool people, but I don't want to make it seem like that. There's just other ways to get that across and other ways to play that.
They didn't play it at all.
Yeah,
there wasn't
exactly.
a single moment they played it, because then it started becoming about closets, which was that has nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
it's kind of a red herring.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think this one was like, this one kind of felt like it was sort of plodding on a little bit to me. I was just like, and I do think with the moisturizing beat, I was like, we just run out of things to do in this sketch. Yeah, like this is we'll wrap it up and call it. But yeah, it was just, I was very impressed with the set though. There were a lot of real closets in there.
Yeah, nicely done closets.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess with the 10-to-1 sketch, it is always kind of like there is the expectation that it's gonna be weirder.
Yes.
You know,
this just wasn't a weird idea. It was just
really
a bad idea.
Yeah, it just didn't really click.
Or an idea that had too many elements, so it seemed like a weird idea, but it's not.
Yeah, it could have used much more specificity. I think the trade-off, but the lying often detracts from specificity, because a lie is kind of a character being broad about something that isn't them, instead of going harder on something that is specific to them. And I think that you could have had much more fun with just committing to something more specific, that this character, like details about this character, versus the just general behavior of like, I want to get in on this.
I feel like I'm usually telling students, like, if somebody's been lying throughout a sketch, they're also kind of lying to the audience too.
Yeah.
Right. So you're kind of like, you just want to know inevitably the truth comes out. And I find in so many student sketches, it's on page 4.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, cool. So move that all the way up.
Yeah.
And start there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then this was the last sketch of the night, and then it was goodbyes. So yeah, kind of, there was like a lot of interesting stuff in the sketch. I do agree that like there's so much to be said for just a host who's like having fun and bringing energy. And again, I think that the swings that happened here were like big and fun. So that will always make me happier than a sketch that feels like kind of stilted and like
uncommitted.
Uncommitted. So on the whole, I think a more fun show in the ways that there were misses. So yeah, anyway, thank you guys so much for talking about this. Before we part ways, as always, I want to hear if there's anything that you guys would like to plug. So Madeline, let's start with you.
I do story coaching. If you have any kind of story, a book, Damian, let's talk about your book.
Oh my God. Yeah, seriously. When I know more about it as it goes.
I am here for story coaching. Just you can check out my Substack, message me on here, or email me on my website.
Yes, I cannot recommend Madeline's services more highly. They're amazing. Madeline gives great notes. Bravo to Madeline. All right, awesome. Damian, what about you? What are your...
Nothing really super specific. I mean, I have a 201 up now, enrolling in, I think, June. So sign up for that. You can hear more of me, talking about sketches.
Great. Are you teaching online and in person right now? Or?
Just in person.
Okay, cool. So if you're in New York, check out Damian's classes. Yes. Awesome.
I really like the energy of being in person. It's a little bit of a schlep for me because I'm outside the city, but I do I don't know. It's fun and it's immediate.
Yeah, no, totally. Awesome. Well, guys, sorry. My plug is just keep spreading the word about this. Leave a review if you're listening in Apple Podcasts. Let your fellow sketch nerds know. It's so much fun to get people weighing in, asking questions, and hopefully we'll have some updates about the book fairly soon. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. Guys, thank you so much for being here with me. This was so much fun to chat through the episode, and let's keep talking sketch. All right.
Thanks, Serena.
All right. Talk to you guys later.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.
See you.